With the recent reveal and teaser of the eagerly anticipated Borderlands 4, longtime returning Borderlands players and newcomers to the series have a lot to think about. But while we wait, let's break down my list of desires and absolute must-haves for Borderlands 4. Starting off the list, we have number 1, Pearlescent Gear. Pearlescents need to make a return to provide a sense of achievement through high engagement and rigorous grinding, and need to be some top-tier gear, no exceptions. I want it to be a selection of the best to offer the most synergy with an intended Vault Hunter, but can be used with anyone. Shields, weapons, class mods, grenade mods, relics. Number 2. Skill Tree Capability. Higher synergy with Vault Hunter skill trees, and damage equivalency. I do not want to explore a character one way, with a particular set of skills, or a mix of trees, and then play the same character with a different base focus, and have one higher damage potential than the other. Or at the very least, the other should provide quality over damage. Looking at you, Mose. Incendiary trumps everything explosive can do. Number 3. Arms Race. Arms Race can be expanded with different themes, much like the takedowns are. Sacrifice the Hurricane concept for quality instead. Bandit theme with a badass bandit-based boss with support from lower-level bandit raiders and psychos. Skag Gulch with a giant skag with a gimmick to weaken the legs to temporarily bring it down, and expose its mouth for easy critical hits. Imagine if they brought Skagzilla back. A nest of spider ants with a crazy elemental spider ant boss with mastery over elements that can cycle them and create pools of acid to keep you mobile, electric beams, or chasers that kill shields, etc. And all of these different arms race locations would be unlocked after completing their respective primary story point locations, much like planets did in 3, and come with their own exclusive unique gear drops from the bosses to keep community and players engaged. 4. Takedowns. Takedowns were such a cool, explorative method to give backgrounds to the inner workings of the different corporations, and heavily explored the deadly lengths they'd go to with experimental tech to get ahead and dominate the competition. The Guardian takedown was really annoying, and an absolute slog with Anathema and her 8 phases, and the insta-kill crystal bullshit just made me not want to engage with it after I beat it the first time around. And don't even get me started on the platforming and mantling. Scourge was cool though. I feel as though if they created and rolled out 3 official takedowns over the life cycle of Borderlands 4, with its own unique gear, would be something incredible to see, and allow the creative team room to truly flex their muscles. Number 5. New Vault Hunters. A lot of people enjoy Borderlands, not only for their first playthrough, but many subsequent ones. Embodying the identity of a new Vault Hunter with an entirely new premise and playstyle drives that home, and that's where Borderlands gets a ton of its replayability. From personality to gear to exploring skills, and it gives people reason to continue playing. Additional skill trees were cool and all, and maybe you could add them as paid DLC, kinda how the Headhunters were purposed for 2, and I'd be all fucking for it. But please, don't make the same mistake you did with Borderlands 3. I love Gage, and she's my main in Borderlands 2. Bring additional Vault Hunters back. Return to Monkey. Number 6. Make Tiny Tina a DLC Vault Hunter, or a playable one. It just makes sense. She's been sidewinded as an NPC for the past few entries, and after exploring her tabletop fantastical world of bunkers and badasses, and with her conquering what she believes to be her innermost weaknesses, and overcoming the grief of losing Roland, it just makes sense for her to finally step up. Imagine what capability she would have as a Vault Hunter, how colorful her personality and dialogue would be, and to actually be able to step into the shoes of Tiny Tina and explore her skill tree as a truly explosive Vault Hunter. Number 7. Replayability. We've dabbled in additional Vault Hunters, endgame exclusive loot, yada yada, but let's touch on enemy variety. This was experimented on with enemies receiving additional health bars with different corresponding elements, i.e. yellow for corrosion, blue for shields, etc. But what about the enemy variety? What about the world? More frequent badass spawns, increased drop rate for loot, maybe tied to a badass reward like the other dynamic skills? Enemies being programmed with secondary, harsher, more strategic AI. Maybe some new hidden named enemies to give players something new to come across when playing a subsequent playthrough. Possibilities are truly endless. Number 8. Dynamic skills. Achieving badass ranks to unlock the dynamic skills that altered gameplay was truly a spectacle, and I believe that there's potential to explore it so much further. Think of it as a secondary support skill tree, where different skills from different trees can only be active one at a time, or even conflicted with different skills. You could have things like grenades regenerate every 30 seconds, or shields have 10% higher capacity, or increase skill cooldown rate, or get a free revive on the first down that resets every 5 minutes or so, to truly expand the kit of a Vault Hunter. Explore that shit! Number 9. Weapon wall, diamond keys, and loot rooms. The weapon wall with the keys being obtainable through base game progression would be phenomenal. Imagine you're up shit creek with a poo canoe and a toilet paper paddle, and are getting stiffed on any good weapons dropping, and it's making the game incredibly difficult to progress through. Or you're out-leveled by enemies for the next area you're set to explore. Or like, picture you're grinding a boss for a drop, and it's just not giving you anything at all, not even a world drop. Imagine if there were a counter, and if you kill that boss a certain number of times in a row, hell, maybe even out of order, you complete one of the challenges, and the reward for that challenge is a diamond key for a free shot at a loot wall, or a loot room with some high-tier gear, and some high-grade boxes that give you a solid chance at some great shit, even if it isn't necessarily what you may have wanted. Number 10. Dedicated drops. I think it's safe to say that the dedicated drops need to make a return. Borderlands 3 had far too much emphasis on world drops, and it's what contributed to the loot scale being as broken and poor as it was, with legendaries becoming as common as ants on a sidewalk. Hell, make more named enemies. Relegate particular drops exclusively to badass enemies. Make certain gear obtainable through event challenges with the cards or subsequent playthroughs. Do something. We cannot have that mess again with the subpar rarity scale. Number 11. Manufacturer collaboration weapons. I think it's safe to say that one of my personal favorite things of Borderlands 3 was the exploration of manufacturer collaborated weapons. The concept of two manufacturers working together to make a product that truly turns heads and broke the mold gives Borderlands 3 an underappreciated level of depth. Item cards are cool, and changing weapon skins is fantastic, but I think it'd be a pretty stupid idea to inspect the barrel of a gun in the Borderlands universe up close. Imagine the item card had a dedicated lore description of how that weapon came to be made, the details of the design, how those two companies collaborated, and how that weapon came to be. Imagine background. Imagine a Maliwan Torg weapon that shot highly elemental-based sticky mines. Imagine a multi-barreled SMG and the Hellfire repurposed into a flamethrower and a bullet shooter at the same time. Fuck, make another Torg x Jacobs collaboration like the Duck again. Bring old weapons back like the Pestilent Defiler. Rebrand it. Explore the weapons. Think of the manufacturers. Think of the possibilities. I think that just about wraps it up for all my desires for Borderlands 4. I hope you enjoyed the video. What are some things you'd like to see from Borderlands 4? With the creative teams they have behind the scenes, it looks like they're gearing up to make Borderlands 4 the biggest, most badass entry yet.